Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's a popular phrase that came out of the US Declaration of Independence, and it's a principle that much of the world claims to value very much. I mean, who would deny that we all have the same right to live freely, enjoy life, and pursue whatever makes us happy? But you know what? I've noticed that there's millions, if not billions, of people on this earth that aren't free, that aren't able to do what they want to do, and who just aren't happy. And it doesn't exclude any type of person, rich, poor, American, Australian, whatever. There's a ton of people all over the world that just aren't happy. So I do realize that that is a pretty big claim, so I did a little research and defined exactly what I meant when I say happy. So what does it mean to be happy? The best definition I found for happiness is this. The term happiness is used in the context of mental emotional states, including positive or pleasant emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy. It is also used in the context of life satisfaction, subjective well-being, eudaimonia, flourishing, and well-being. And that last part is really what I am referring to when I think of happiness, the context of life satisfaction, subjective well-being, flourishing, and well-being. So of course, our emotions are constantly changing, but overall, how satisfied are people with their lives? How many people are actually doing what's best for their personal values and well-being, you know? How many people are actually waking up every day and doing what they do because that's genuinely what they want to do, not because they need to do it in order to survive or pay debts? So you listening to me right now, based off of that definition, are you happy? Are you doing what you're naturally drawn to do every day? Are you doing things based off what's best for you and your intrinsic values? If not, then make sure you listen on. I continue to research and reference some situations in my personal life and the lives of people close to me, and got a couple of great tips to help someone achieve happiness. First tip. So first off, you have to figure out what it is that naturally interests you. Imagine money didn't exist and you didn't have to worry about shelter or starving. All of that was taken care of. What would you want to be doing? And if you don't know right away, that's okay. Maybe you've been so focused on work or surviving that you don't even know what type of things you'd like to do. But just try and think about it and try some new things if you have a chance. You don't have to rush, but figuring out what naturally interests you, what naturally brings you joy, is a big step towards achieving happiness. You know, how can you pursue happiness if you don't even know what happiness is for you, right? And that brings me to my next tip. Stop pursuing other people's happiness. Once you figure out what makes you happy, make sure you're actively pursuing your own happiness. This takes some self-discipline as well. And I want to propose a little analogy for y'all to ponder on real quick. So slaves. When we think of slaves, we think of people being captured and forced into labor or doing things that they don't want to do. And slaves have existed all throughout history. In America, slaves worked and worked their entire lives just to benefit and make someone else rich and happy, and they weren't allowed God-given rights and resources for reasons that weren't even in their best interest. Today, slavery is maintained more through psychological conditioning and less physical abuse, but there are actually more slaves today than ever before. So many people have to do things that they don't want to do every day, making someone else rich, helping someone else flourish. And maybe after 40 years of doing that, that person can say that they own a house, maybe a car or something. And do you think any slaves were ever happy? And if you want to go deeper into that, whether you agree or disagree, leave a comment and we can discuss or debate it. But my point is basically, most slaves wouldn't have been building giant pyramids or picking cotton or doing whatever they were doing if they didn't have to, because I doubt that it was bringing them any happiness. And it's very similar today. Many people are doing things they don't want to do and they're not able to actually pursue their happiness. But not only that, you have to realize that in life, there's going to be a lot of times where the grass seems greener on the other side. But don't let that illusion steer you from your pursuit of happiness. You know, you may see someone with a sports car and who looks like they're living their best life, but that could all very well be an illusion. That person could be drowning in debt and very unhappy despite all the material things they have. So don't be fooled by appearances and don't chase someone else's happiness, because what if you start following the sports car person And then you come to realize that none of that stuff provided you with any lasting happiness or satisfaction. And now you've wasted a lot of precious time that you could have been using to pursue your own happiness, your real happiness, not just some instant and temporary gratification. And so that's why it's so important that you first know what interests you and what brings you joy. Because again, how can you make sure you're pursuing your own happiness if you don't even know what your happiness is? If playing music is what brings you happiness, then being a full-time lawyer wouldn't seem like a logical thing for you to be doing, right? I mean, the money may possibly be better, but is it worth your happiness? Like I mentioned earlier, the lack of happiness doesn't discriminate. Even millionaires and billionaires that seem to have it all can lack happiness. So it's important that you pursue happiness over money and anything else. Unless material possessions and money is genuinely what makes you happy, then by all means pursue it. So to summarize everything, happiness is used in context to describe someone's overall life satisfaction and subjective well-being. Are you overall joyful with your life and its circumstances? Are you spending your time the best way you can based on your own personal values and goals? If not, then you may not be as happy as you can. But it's going to be alright because you can achieve happiness. You just have to first know what that is for you and then pursue it. Don't get distracted by money and shiny things. Just focus on pursuing your happiness. And you also have to be aware and understand that unfortunately, some people's happiness may involve having you as a slave. And would any master ever tell their slaves how to escape? Of course not. So make sure again that you pursue your own happiness and don't get caught up in other people's ideas or pursuit of happiness unless it aligns with yours. You don't want to get thrown off track to your happiness, right? So tell me, what does happiness look like for you? If money didn't exist and you didn't have to stress about having a roof over your head or food in your belly, what would bring you joy? Watching TV or other entertainment, gardening, growing herbs and foods, creating art, or just simply existing with no obligations? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for spending some of your time with me. Make sure you sub to the channel. Catch me on Instagram and other platforms by clicking the link in the description below. And I will see y'all on the next one. Honestly, money just bought a pound of this,